told me to tell you this.
No.
What?
Yeah.
So you're telling me, Missy, that God come to you. I've got a person in my family, and this person, I believe, has God on speed dial. Because this person can get to God and have an answer from God. And I'm like, how'd you do that? Because I still can't get answers. 1 minute it's this, and the next one God says go this way. I'm like, and God does it that quick? And so we're laying hands, and it tells the different levels. And so I can't wait. I can't wait because I'm a show off. So I get up there to it, and I'm like, I'm really, really humble. So Emily, I walk up to it, and I lay hands on it. Bam! It's like going to that thing, you hit that thing at the fair, ding! And on the cartoons, it always knocks the bell off. I always wanted to knock the bell off. I never could.
Right.
Usually I struggled to hit the bell. And I'm like, but then I was kind of blued up just a second, and I'm like, oh, I got to. So it's like my false sense of modesty come up, and I'm trying to humble it out. And so they pulled us all in this room, and they had an after-action review. This is what just went on. Let's talk about all these things. And I can't wait for this guy to come to me. So he finally comes to me and he says, hey, Monty, he says, as you sing, that when it came to spirituality, he said, you're off the charts. Yeah. Shucks. I kind of noticed that. He says, but when it comes to biblical truths, you don't know crap. Well, what? When it comes to biblical truths, you don't know nothing. Your basic Bible awareness. I love what's that stand for?
Basic instruction before leaving Earth.
That's what the Bible stands for. Your basic instructions before leaving Earth. It tells you everything you need to know to prepare for this test. Because there's one day we're going to stand before a test. But until then, we got to get through all this stuff. And so, after I had that dream, I departed from the charismatic circles, and I started studying. Some of y'all say I study too deep. I can't study when you get off in them old Hebrew words. I barely speak English. Well, I don't speak Hebrew. The Word of God says it. When you speak in tongues and you have this stuff going on, you have people laughing and doing these distracting things within church, the Bible says that He is not a spirit of confusion. That is not a God of confusion. God is clear. God is abundantly clear. There is no... Did God really say that?
All right.
That's what Satan did. Did God really say that? No, God is clear. We want that confusion. So number one, we will prioritize spiritual truths. We will talk about that next week. The next thing is that you have to study the prophetic framework. The framework is also in relation to the birth pains. It can be found particularly in Revelations and Matthew 24. It can also be found in Daniel. If you want to hear about the things about Daniel and how the Antichrist is revealed in Daniel, you can hear about these things. So, in other words, study the prophetic framework. How does one piece fit into the other? How does it happen? That's one of the things that I have done a lot of and more than I want to. Because now I see it everywhere. They talked about it years ago, is how do you control the system? How do you control it? They couldn't control it in the old days until the advent of one thing. Once they adopted this universal system, every Christian in the world that I've ever talked to, I will never take the mark of the beast. I will never take it. Well, the thing is, it's the numerical equivalent of your name. And do you realize that this system is already in place?
Yes.
How is it? Go to work tomorrow without a Social Security number. Go cash a check tomorrow without a social security number. Go open a checking account without a social security number. Try to do it. Go to work tomorrow and say, look, I'm taking away my social security number. Okay. One thing leads to the other. This was my point this weekend. Oh my God, this is like... So you're telling me that a person looked at a bunch of piled parts, David, and they seen this box of parts, and a box of silicone little wafers that you can't even see with your eyes, got all this stuff, but they can't cure cancer, they can't cure a headache, they can't cure the common cold, but they can look at this little piece of silicone that you can't see, and all of a sudden now, we've got AI that can make things so real that they don't even look fake no more. How did that happen? What is going on with this thing? How did they look at all that and go, I see a piece of silicone. I got an idea. I'm going to take this piece of silicone and we're going to make a chip out of it. I can see a redneck buddy going, what? I ain't eating no salt. But it ain't salt, it's sand. Well, it all looks the same to me. No, but I envision this. Prior to these right here, the only way they could hear you, if you'd have to watch Ruth Buzzy, and she'd plug in, because we used to have party lines. And somebody could pick it up, you'd always listen for the click. They'd say, Don Thurl, because that's our neighbor, he'd always listen to the conversation, get off the phone. And all of a sudden you hear it. But all of a sudden now, every one of these, everything that we do, everything that we say, what I'm saying right now is being recorded. Right. They know where each and every one of us is going and will be. They had a thing a long time ago, about 1984, that says that Big Brother will be constantly watching you. And oh my God, Big Brother was the big scared. 20 years later, Big Brother ain't even a memory. And if somebody tells you about you're being watched, one of the wisest young men that I know of, I went to him one time and I said, hey man, you're considered that all this stuff and this about your privacy? Okay. It's just not even a concern that you've lost all your privacy, that everything is being monitored, or everything is being changed, everything is being touched. Because I am still, if you was anywhere remotely aware of this thing, you would look at your life and go, wait a second. If this is true, then what if this is true? But what if you get all the way down to the end of it and you find out that way over here, you get to the finish line and he goes, I never knew you. You remember what you did? Oh yeah, I went to jails and I did this. And he says, I never knew you. Without the blood of the Lamb, you ain't getting in. And you've got to be walking in this thing. You've got to be ready for this thing. Because if you ain't ready for this thing, you ain't ready for this thing. Panic of test is always due to the fact that you ain't prepared. And 99.9% of your failures in tests is due to the fact that you blew it off. And see, we've blown off our spirituality. So how easy is it going to be, because we right now are seeing this thing coming done, and I've got to preach to you and tell you, and people have to preach to you, people and tell you, you better be in church now, because there may be a time where you ain't got a church no more. Then what the crap you going to do? Well, we got a guy who was in hell. And he looked up, he said, hey man, can you send out somebody? Can you go tell him that, no, don't do this, don't do that. He said, man, he got the prophets to tell him all this. You didn't listen, they ain't going to listen. I love the thing in the verse, and was he was
talking to Father Abraham.
It's not Proverbs, but I think it's Ecclesiastes. And he says, and yet the preacher was wise. He still taught the people. And yet the preacher was wise. And he says, it's by the foolishness of preaching that men are saved. Why in the world would you sign up for a job that the Bible says don't call anybody a fool? And now, what I'm doing right now is called foolishness. And even Solomon, the wisest guy in the world, says, he says, and yet the preacher was wise. He still taught people. Because he knew that they ain't going to change. But yet, he changed. Even if nobody wants to listen, I'm going to tell you. Because here's the problem. You are accountable for the message God has given you to share with others.
That's right.
It ain't about your salvation. It's about you being a tool for another's salvation. It's about bearing fruit. So we got to understand how one thing leads to the other. How, I love my favorite one about this whole thing. What is Sam's? Because again, Sam's, in the old days, remember the old Sam's? I've told you all this. The old Sam's, you couldn't get in until you had a car, right? And they understood the flaw of that. No, what it is, they said that if you can't, what is in there? I don't know. What are they selling? I don't know. Toilet paper, about 400 rolls of it. The Sam's of 10 years ago is not the Sam's of today. Because now you can walk into Sam's and you go look at Sam's meat, then you go look at Walmart's meat. Which meat looks better?
Yeah, Sam.
I don't know. Never been to Sam's.
You walk in Sam's and you'll see this whole thing laid out there and you'll go, holy smoly, wow, that meat feels good. Then all of a sudden you go to Sam's, then you go to Walmart, you kind of go, but you're the same company. They want you to want that product. Because what they're doing is think about the same. The Mad Butcher, all these little small mom and pops, where are they at?
See ya.
They're gone. Do you see Sam's with windows?
No.
They're forts. What is Sam's personal product called?
Members mark or something.
Members Mark. Huh?
Remember Mark?
What the? Wait a second. Members Mark? Isn't that coincidental? Why did they decide it was Members Mark?
Break it down. Excuse me.
Think about this. They could have called Members Choice. As you see that thing, but now their big thing is Members Mark. So if you're buying from this product and you've sold off into this thing and you're walking in there and you're supporting this thing, guess what you've done? You've accepted the mark. You've accepted the mark. It's clear. When you start seeing how all these things go, then you got to start. Number 3 is recognizing the birth pains. What would be a birth pain that I could talk to you about right now? What birth pain do you see that, you know, as a woman, you're walking around here, Missy, and all of a sudden you go, whoa, ruh-roh. I better not go to Tunica today. This may go wrong direction. Think about this thing. You know. Can anybody tell me one area right now that you know? I can tell you a ton of them that you know right now. It's a sign. What would you say? Give me one. Well, that one right there, that's a great one.
Is it a sign?
Yeah, how can you tell me a birth pain? In other words, a warning that you're seeing right now.
Starbucks in a church.
Excellent. Next.
Famine.
See, this is why we don't want to say anything. Because you realize that once you say this thing, you've now accepted it.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Rumors of war, all these things, famine, earthquakes.
Okay. That's too many. But you're there. Anybody got anything else? You see? Huh? Weather. Excellent. Anything else? Huh? Somebody get something else.
Miracle Pope.
You done spoke. Yeah, beside Miracle Pope.
I didn't hear.
a sign that we're the birth pains of the second coming of Christ. In other words, a thing that you see right now that is prevalent to you, that really stands out, that every day, every time you see it, you think about the end times. My problem is I see everything.
Every time Trump gets up there,
Lawlessness.
big time.
Okay, you're still thinking. Got anybody else got anything? Jacob, you know of anything?
The people.
Huh?
The people. The people.
Brothers should turn against brother,
Right.
and they'll turn to unnatural love.
Right.
Anything else?
I think Pandora's box
You
has
done
been
spoke.
opened up and emptied out, and there ain't nothing else you can come out of that box.
Oh no.
You think
Oh,
it's
no.
still coming
The
out?
horseman ain't started yet.
Huh?
The horseman ain't started
No,
yet.
the horses ain't.
That's your
They're
AI.
coming.
Huh?
The AI could prophesy a lot
Okay.
of crap people are gonna buy. They believe the phones
The
now.
AI. Boy, now there's your whole point right there.
Sinner coming near you soon out here.
Think about this thing. Do y'all know the company that is behind all this is in the Fortune 100?
Before?
The Fortune 1 is one of the Fortune 100 companies.
Mhm.
What is the Fortune 100 versus the Fortune 500? What's the difference? Huh?
It's the top 100 company.
Why is one of the top 100 companies investing in Conway, Arkansas? I watched this guy. What are we facing right now that we've never faced? Well, we faced it, but not to this level. Not to this level. Water shortage. What is the one thing we can't? What'd you say, Emily?
They want to build a data center.
But get this. I was listening to a guy. I wrestled with my numbers. He said at its peak, the one in Little Rock is only, I think he said, I'll have to look it up again. Only, and this is how he said it, and it's only at peak times 4 million gallons a day. Can you? I love the quote. If you ever watched The Last Samurai, he says, 1 million soldiers. That's how many were the Persian army. He says, can you understand this number? He says, I understand this number.
Yeah.
That's actually quite accurate, my rendition of that. But the thing is, he says, I understand this number.
You talking
Do you understand 4 million gallons of water every day? I have known Lake Brewer for a long time, and I've gone through Lake Brewer through a lot of things, and I've only once seen it like this.
It's down.
Why is it down? It is Conway's water supply, but did you know that Conway County gets all of its water from Lake Brewer? Now you think about this thing. Why now are we in such water shortages? It's not happened like this before, and it's been dry before. All of a sudden now, we're having record drought. We've had record drought for how long now?
There's 40,000 new houses.
There's even a whole other point. If you want to get on birth pains, I can get on to you about housing. Oh, well, I can get deep in this housing thing.
Look down here in the corner.
What I'm talking about, these are things that you have to understand. Guys, this crap is about to get real. And I love the thing that Conway said, well, we're only going to be using wastewater.
Yeah, like shit.
Not possible.
I can see, David, them flushing a turd through this AI system.
They won't even use their own wastewater. They
Come on,
can-
man, are we that stupid? And then, so what is going to happen? What is going to happen when all of this web is all connected? And we will see it at the end of our lifetime, but our children's lifetime is going to be a world of difference.
They're
Because
gonna start
of
paying
you
for water at
worshiping
restaurants.
the AI, the web. I see that now.
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you something. And the thing is that, but here's the problem. How can we expect our kids to take this stuff serious if we ourselves look exactly like the world?
take a stand somewhere.
If we look exactly like the world, Artie, or I don't think you should go to church, I don't believe in going to church, then don't. Then guess who you've just led? Everybody else in your stream of consciousness, you're telling them to stay away from the one place. Well, I can teach my children. Yes, you're teaching them. But you've omitted this part that the Bible talks about, that if the Son of God went to church, matter of fact, the Son of God left his family, was so busy and so wrapped up that the family is how many miles down the road, and they look around, where the crap Jesus at?
Miles, it was a 3-day trip to get back.
Think about that. And it took them 3 days to miss him.
Wow.
Home
Got a
Alone.
question on parents.
Oh my God. Amber was yesterday. We went to the zoo yesterday. And I'm watching Blake. Blake's doing his own thing. He never even had a clue. They all went to go see the penguins, and Blade seen the park. Boom, he's over there. So I just said, I ain't going to see the penguins. I've never seen them. I'll stand there and watch Blade. And I was just marveling at the fact that he had no clue. A couple times he would look around, he'd go, start playing again. All of a sudden, Amber come out there, and somewhere in the midst, is he out here? I'm thinking, oh, he's right there. Well, I'm thinking about Blake. Next thing I know, there's Zane. Okay, so now I'm up here watching both of them. Keeping my mental eye sharp. Because I had brownie. So, I'm sitting there and I'm watching all these things. All of a sudden, that Amber comes out there and she chews Zane out. I'm like, what?
Didn't know he left.
She didn't know he left. And she done been looking all through the penguin exhibit looking for Zane. Oh yeah, it was nasty. I'm like, dang. Boy, that was stupid.
Feel bad for you, man.
But here's all of a sudden, Jesus, 3 days, however long he was gone, and they're like, well, what the crap? Where'd Jesus go? Some woman made a comment yesterday because 3 of us had our pink shirts on. One woman says, that's what you ought to do. You ought to have your kids in some bright pink shirts so that you can see them too. Blake, Zane, and Addison are the ones that didn't. But anybody else, if I wanted to know where Amber was, Axton was, or, myself, I know where we are. Because we look for pink. If I can find pink, because I've got this thing, sometimes I'll look and I'm like, what is my wife wearing today? I have to think, what's she wearing? Because I'm looking at it, when we're shopping at a flea market, I'm like, so I have to pick out something to identify her from everybody else. That bright pink shirt does it. But when they found him and went back to him, what was Jesus' first response?
What did you think I'd be doing? It should be about my Father's business.
You don't see Jesus that tunica?